Shofar. Shema Yasharala Ahaya, Alahaya Ahaya Akkad, Hero Israel, the Lord our power is one power. Shema Yasharala Ahaya, Alahaya Ahaya Akkad, Hero Israel, the Lord our power is one power. Shema Yasharala Ahaya, Alahaya Ahaya Akkad, Hero Israel, the Lord our power is one power. And so we want to say thank you for joining us on Father's Holy Day. All praises be to Ahaya, the Shia, and the Holy Spirit. Peace of 12 tribes are scattered throughout the four corners. Shalom. And shalom to those who are new to our channel. This is a new revelation, and we study the Bible, and when we teach on all the aspects of Hebrews 6:3, baptism, resurrection of the dead, judgment. We teach on those things because those are the things that we need to know in order to get to the New Jerusalem. If you followed this ministry is not about just getting to the wilderness. It's about getting to it's about getting to the New Jerusalem by any means necessary. So, because of that, we teach on spirits, we teach on healing, we teach on deliverance, we teach on doctrine. We try to teach and cover as much as the Bible as we possibly can. On Fridays, we have been dealing with different spirits. Tonight, we're going to deal with the spirit of greed, gluttony, and lust. They are all together. They are all combined. What does the Bible say about a person who has the spirit of greed, the spirit of gluttony, and the spirit of lust? Now, if you have followed us, you understand and know that lust does not necessarily mean sex. You can lust over anything. You can lust over power. You can lust over money. You can lust over clothes. You can lust over material things. You can lust over virtually anything. It's not just with sex. Greed. When we think about greed, we think about food, but you can be greedy over anything. Power, money. You can be greedy over anything. Gluttony. When we talk about gluttony, most of the time it is concerning food. You can be gluttonous over other things, but gluttony is an overindulgence. Typically, we overindulge when it comes to food and when it comes to drink. So we're going to see these spirits. For our Friday nights are called lessons of life. And we call them lessons of life because of the fact that we have to get rid of every single Jerusalem. You won't make it. When the first resurrection of our Lord happens, the second coming of Yeshua, after the wilderness, those who make it through the wilderness will be purged, will be changed to your everlasting godly bodies. There cannot be any sin in those bodies. So you need to get it together now. And we don't have that much time, as we're going to learn in about 3 weeks. We don't have that much time to get it together. You must get it together yesterday, because living right, being right, it's 100% 24/7. It's not when you're feeling good. It's not when you have money in your pocket. Let me say this also, money is the devil, period. Money is the devil, because when you see a change, and we're going to talk about that in a couple of, in fact, I think that's next week, with hardiness.
But you said money is the devil, but the scripture said the love of money
is the devil.
People can have money and still be humble.
Name one. Name one.
Alive. Abraham did it.
See, I wasn't going to say dead, because then I know you would go to Abraham, Jacob, Isaac. You would go to them, David, Solomon. Right. But I'm talking about alive right now, probably not too many. So we're going to talk about the spirit of greed, gluttony, and lust. Lost connection. Right. So our next feast is Purim. Purim is February 13th and the 14th. Holy Convocation, a lesson on the 13th will be on Purim. Lesson on the 14th, since we're speaking on Esther, would be virtuous women. Passover, March 13th and the 14th. Holy Convocation on the 13th. Still don't know what we're going to teach on. And then our Passover lesson on the 14th. For those who are traveling, we always say, make sure that you don't have leaven when you leave your house in your house. Spring Holy Day will be March 13th through the 14th. Leads us to unleavened bread. That is a double Shabbat on the Passover. March 15th through the 21st is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Our summer lesson, Yeshaya. Human reasoning. Human reasoning is not really present in this particular society, because a lot of people don't understand or don't even want to operate in self-responsibility. Personally responsible for their actions. And this is why the spirit of gluttony rules over a lot of people. Self-responsibility. Checking yourself. The spirit of gluttony is going to drive a lot of people to the pit of hell, just like every single one of these spirits that we talk about today. When you hear a person say it must be genetic, or I have a disease, rather put that on them than say it is a sin. Gluttony is a sin. When a person says, well, my mother was fat and my grandmother was fat, so that's why I'm fat. Or it's a disease that I have. Or that you come with the whole, well, you make excuses. Anything to say other than I'm dealing with a sin. Overindulgence is a sin. Right? Overindulgence is a sin. Another one, they say, I have big bones. I have big bones.
How you know
right?
what's the difference?
That is by far ridiculous. My bones are bigger than anybody else's. That's why I weigh the way I do, right? But nobody ever says I'm dealing with sin. And that's what gluttony is. A lot of people don't know that it is wrong. With gluttony, we're going to pretty much focus on food. With the others, we're going to show it a little differently according to the Bible. Webster's dictionary describes gluttony as one given habitually to greedy and vicarious eating and drinking. Want to know what that is? That's when you just eat, 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 eat. Typically, in the biblical times, they had 2 meals a day. 2. Not 4, not 6, 2. Now, normal society, it's 3. Normal society, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When I was going to the doctor, one thing that the doctor said is that if you look at the plates from the 1950s, the plates from the 1950s, and you look at the plates today, the plates today are far more bigger than what they were in the 1950s. People take it as a personal challenge, and I was guilty of that, to overflowing. That's gluttony. You eat and eat and eat. The all-you-can-eat restaurants, those are Satan. Those are synagogues of Satan. That's of the devil. Because when a person goes in, they're not going to get 1 plate and sit down and have a sensible meal. They're going to have 8 and 9 plates. The people of the Bible would kick our behinds because we can't defend ourselves. We go to swing, moving in slow motion. The people in the Bible would have been dodging and ducking and would have hit us about 8 times before we get that arm up. If you're dealing with this, you will not make it past you won't make it out of the wilderness. Vicarious. If you don't know what, because the question should have been, if you don't know what vicarious means, what does vicarious mean? Vicarious, having a huge appetite, ravenous, excessively eager, insatiable. No control. No control. And you know who's behind this? It's the demons. The demons put a thought in your head, you're hungry again. You just ate an hour ago. The demons put a thought in your head, you're hungry. They manipulate your belly to make you think that you're hungry. Then you go and eat. And a lot of us, when we go and eat, the first thing that we do, oh, I'm so tired. It's because you just overate 2 vegetables, fruit.
Not the people in this house.
We don't indulge when it comes to that. We indulge on other things.
We notice the people in this house, when they fix our plates, they give Shepherd and I all like the vegetables and stuff.
Right.
We know what y'all be doing.
Allegedly.
No,
That's not alleged. Right? Synonyms for gluttony: greed, various, gorge, epicure, cram, stuff, guzzle. Those are not good words to associate yourself with.
Some people be like, oh, I'm stuffed.
Those are not good words to associate yourself with. Like I said, Bible times, 2 meals a day. Nowadays, you can't get people to even do 3.
Yeah,
It's a sin.
I would have to have 3.
And so 3 is fine. 3 well-portioned meals is fine. It's fine. It's when we get to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th helpings, 3rd dinner to the 5th power, 2 lunches, 3 breakfasts. No, you are sinning.
I have seen some people have 3 dinners.
No, you're sinning. I don't care how much, and I don't care how many times you pray over your food. It is a sin. Children who eat vicariously are said to eat us out of house and home. Or an adult who eats plays a good knife and fork. That's an old saying. My grandmama used to say that one. Right? We're going to get Wisdom of Solomon 15. And we're going to read verses 1 through 5. Just eating all over the place. And this is an open door for demons. You already are dealing with evil spirits and you're already even dealing with demons. But now your health is at risk. And your health becomes at risk because of overindulging.
You remember that lady from our ministry? She was at least 500 pounds. And she got prayer for gluttony.
Yeah.
And as she was standing there going through deliverance, she was losing weight. This demon was coming out of her to the point where her skirt fell down. We were like, whoa, I've never seen anything like that. But that demon of gluttony, which is a big fat thing, when she got delivered, she instantly lost that weight from that spirit. And her skirt fell down on the floor.
She was Jedi, right? Dark-skinned Jedi.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
And we were praying for her. And while we were praying for her, her skirt, her dress, it was a skirt, right? Her skirt, it just fell down as we praying for her. And she tried to pull it up and tried to fix it, and she couldn't do it. She had to literally hold it with her hand because it would fall down.
So demons in your body will make you take on the look or the whatever of that spirit. You do.
Right. Let's read Wisdom of Solomon 15, starting at verse 1.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 15, verse 1. But thou, O Ayawan, art gracious and true, long-suffering, and in mercy ordering all things. For if we are thine, knowing thy power, but we will not sin, knowing that we are counted thine. For to know thee is perfect righteousness. Yea, to know thy power is the root of immortality.
Right, to know thy power. You know him as perfect. Perfect righteousness. So you have to ask yourself, are you living in perfect righteousness on your fifth meal? Are you living in perfect righteousness as you continue to drink? Verse 4.
For neither did the mischievous invention of men deceive us.
Neither did the mischievous invention of men deceive us. They have the foods now, and we did a teaching on fruits. And one of the fruits that we did a teaching on was how the strawberry looked before man started to cultivate and change it. The strawberry looked like something that you would never eat. But now the strawberry looks like it does today, right? Neither did the mischievous invention of men deceive us. The foods that come out. It's deception. The foods are built to make you eat more and more and more. When you start to get an understanding on what foods you can put in your body that actually burns the fat, that actually raises your caloric uptake without
give you energy,
destroying it, right? Then you get an understanding on how your body is supposed to take this food in. White sugar is of the devil. White flour is of the devil. It's bad for your health. Very bad for your health. Finish that verse, please.
Nor an image spotted with divers colors. The painter's fruitless labor.
All right, yes.
I was gonna say it's true what you were saying. That when we watch like these commercials and stuff, it's not even real food they use. It's like plastic models and stuff they spray with water and stuff. But it's because you go to want these restaurants and you look at that burger and you get a smashed up, great looking thing, but you already have that lust in your mind from that video that you saw how it looked.
Mm-hmm. Right, verse 5.
The sight whereof enticeth fools to lust after it.
Read that part again.
The sight whereof enticeth fools to lust after it.
Fools to lust after it, right? You see the food. You open up the refrigerator and you just ate. And you open up the refrigerator and you see all this food that's inside the refrigerator. And the demons inside of your mind entice you to go and eat. You could be filled. Your belly is filled, but the demons entice fools to lust after it. Finish the verse.
And so they desire the form of a dead image that hath no breath.
You desire the form of a dead image. When you're dealing with the spirit of gluttony, greed, and lust, you desire death. You desire death. No matter how you're going to look at it. Yes?
Is it the spirit of gluttony that's working through a person when you just get up and look through the refrigerator? I know I've been guilty of this, where you just get up and you looking in the refrigerator, and you looking through the cabinets, even though you just ate, or you may have eaten an hour ago, and then you just get up and you start looking through the refrigerator.
If you're looking for something to eat, then yes, it's the spirit of gluttony.
Even if you don't like grab something, you just go through, look through. What is your point?
What is your point in looking?
I've always thought that, because I would just go and just look in the refrigerator.
Oh, really?
I mean, what would be your point in looking in a refrigerator if you're not looking for something to eat? Right? It's not like you're going window shopping when you walk through when you go to the stores and you just window shopping. That's something totally different. But if you're searching through cabinets and you're searching through refrigerators after you have eaten, then
almost like eating out of boredom is what it almost feels like.
And that's being enticed. That's being enticed.
What about people who binge eat?
That's
something different, huh? That's not gluttony.
Binge eating, that's gluttony.
But we see these different videos that they put on YouTube. What do they call it? Mukbangs. But you see a little woman sit down and eat 20 tacos. Like, where are you putting all this food?
Let me tell you something. People may enjoy them, but mukbang is of the devil. It's Satan. You're coming in covenant with people who are sitting up there and they're stuffing their mouth and they're got the little camera, the video or the microphone thing and the ASR, AMR or whatever that is, and you just sitting there and you just chomping away. No, and then you get people who are sitting there and they're watching this. You become in covenant with what you are looking at. You can't do that. That's a sin. You have to put a comment saying you are going to go to hell if you continue that.
No more. But yes. You know what? I have seen where some of those people doing those videos, they're throwing demonic hand signs. You remember I told you all this? Yeah. They're throwing up the sixes, the devil horns. Like they doing all the horns from how it was described how Satan can't have a horn.
Right, he ain't having a horn, so I don't know what.
So they throwing up all these demonic hand signs, and that's to mind control, to get people, to entice people to be drawn in so they can get more likes to them so they can make money.
Right. So, go ahead.
So if they're doing that and they want money, what are you getting in covenant with besides gluttony?
The devil.
The greed.
Greed.
You sound like Michael right now.
So, but the thing of it is, you get in covenant, right? They're doing all these demonic hand signs. Just like we did a video, a teaching on Satan and music, right? And we had a video of, this was way back because I know that video has been taken down. And we had a video showing LL Cool J during the awards, whatever it was, BET Awards. And Mary, who was very satanic, they were on the stage and they was pretending like they were having church. And he comes out and he says, y'all ready to be blessed? He throws up the devil hands and the whole place just goes nuts.
They throw their hands up. He said, hold your hands up.
Hold your hands up.
And they held their hands up to receive it. And he cursed them all.
Cursed them all.
Like, man.
This is ignorance. But you know what it is? It's lust, greed, and gluttony. So we associate gluttony with mostly overeating. But gluttony can be drinking, smoking, gambling, sex, gathering things. People who are hoarders are gluttonous. Yeah, let me finish this, please. People who are gluttonous, people who are hoarders, that's gluttony. They bring in all this trash and they keep all this trash. Find out the spiritual root to that is gluttony, right? Yes.
So people who, because you said drinking too, so is alcoholics gluttonous too?
Yes. Yes, they are. Key term is too much. That's the term.
Yeah.
Yes, what's the comment?
Someone said that show, Man vs. Food, he travels all over trying new food and doing food challenges and makes himself sick overeating.
Right, I haven't seen it.
I have. And a lot of things they eat is unclean.
Okay.
And they say, oh, it's so good.
But that's the world that we live in. That's the world that we live in, where the more you get, the better you feel. The more you eat, the better you feel. That's a trick of the devil. It's a trick. Gluttony. We're going to get Proverbs 30. Gluttony is destructive. The Bible ascribes a great deal of destructive power when it comes to gluttony. It's every spirit that we talk about is a destroyer. The one that we're going to speak on next week is a destroyer. The one 2 weeks from now is a destroyer. We've talked about lying. That's a destroyer. Proverbs 30, we're going to read 21 and 23. I'm sorry, 20. Proverbs 30, verse 20 to 23. Proverbs 30, 20 to 23. Go ahead.
Proverbs chapter 30, verse 20.
Listen to verse 20.
Such is the way of an adulterous woman.
Mm-hmm.
She eateth and wipeth her mouth and saith, I have done no wickedness.
She eateth, wipeth her mouth, and said, I have done no wickedness. When you commit a sin against Yeshua, you are an adulterer. Verse 21.
For 3 things the earth is disquieted, and for 4 which it cannot bear.
Verse 22.
For a servant when he reigneth, and a fool when he is filled with meat.
Mm-hmm.
For an odious woman when she is married, and an handmaid that is heir to her mistress.
All right, an odious woman. An odious woman, right? You have to see what that word means. That word means a hateful woman. All of these things are tied to the spirit of gluttony. To the spirit of gluttony. Both men and women are getting fat in epidemic proportions. The United States is by far the most overweight country in the world. By far. Your health premiums go through the roof. You're dealing with all these sicknesses and illnesses. You have to stop with the binging. You have to stop with the overindulging, because of the fact that if you don't stop with the binging, you don't start with the overindulging, the demons are going to get you one way or another. Last week, there was a special devoted entirely to obesity in the Journal of American Medical Associates. And they came up with these stats. And this was an alert that I had got over my phone. So I had to look it up. So I know Yeshaya had something to do with it, because I got this alert last week. The rate of obesity, 18%, it soared from 12% in the United States just 7 years ago. 7 years ago, 12% of the country were morbidly obese. Now it's 18%. Satan is really trying to destroy everyone. And when you're dealing with being morbidly obese, or even just obesity, it brings on all kinds of problems. It brings on skin rashes. It brings on a litany of problems that you don't want. Gluttony is sheer defiance of Yeshaya. That's what gluttony is. It's defiance of it's in defiance of Yeshaya. And your behavior is not balanced correctly. Obesity is a terrible problem. And it's not like the flu, because it's not going to go away. You have to get rid of the spirit. Some people will say, there's nothing wrong with being fat. Fat is beautiful. But what is your heart saying? What are your kidneys saying? What is your liver saying? It's unhealthy, regardless what you look or how you look at it. It's unhealthy. And we have to be healthy. We have to get to the wilderness. We have to get to the wilderness. We must be healthy. And if not, you're going to have a hard time in the wilderness, because in the wilderness, vegetation. In the wilderness, it's vegetation. There's no overindulgence when it comes to that. Gluttony is a sin. Let's get Ecclesiastes 10 and 17. When you use food or drink in a way that injures your health or impairs your mind, that is a sin. And when you overeat, your mind is not right, because your mind starts to wants to go to sleep. You want to be lazy, and that's another spirit that we're going to talk about, laziness. Right? King Solomon was familiar with that. Let's go Ecclesiastes 10 and 17 and read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 17. Mm-hmm. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy Malak is the son of nobles, mm-hmm. and thy princes eat in due season, mm-hmm. for strength and not for drunkenness.
There you go. So what is Solomon telling you here? He says that you eat in due season. They had 2 meals a day in the Bible, and I'm sure 3 meals a day is totally fine. But he said they ate for strength and not for drunkenness, meaning that they were not eating to just eat. You have breakfast, then you have breakfast 1.1, breakfast 1.2, snack 1.1, snack 1.2, lunch 1.1, lunch 1.2, snack 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, dinner 1.1, dinner 1.2, dinner 1.3, dessert 1.1, dessert 1.2. No, you're supposed to eat. Yes, you are supposed to eat. But if you overdo it, number one, those are demons. Number two, it brings on health issues. Bulimia, nervosa, anorexia are associated with gluttony. They are associated with gluttony. Binge eating, starve eating. You starve yourself. That's still the same thing. You binge, you starve. You binge, you starve.
But you know what else is behind there?
What's that?
Self-hatred.
Self-hatred. Self-hatred. And a lot of people don't even understand that. You're dealing with hatred. You're dealing with some type of mental illness, whether it's self-hatred or low self-esteem. One of the two that you're dealing with. Get rid of the hatred, get rid of the low self-esteem, and discipline. If you're not a disciplined person, you're going to fall. You must be disciplined. You must say, I just ate an hour ago. I'm not hungry. Just eat, eat, eat. And I know we're focusing on eating right now because we're talking on gluttony. But when we get to greed and lust, we're going to focus on some other things. You have to repress the thoughts of hunger. You have to repress those thoughts. Because what happens is that when you continually eat, it's physically uncomfortable. You can't walk. You can't do anything. Anxiety. It brings on anger. How does it bring on an anger spirit? Because let's say you're driving through a parking lot and there's no parks close to the door. The parks are further away from the door. Because you have that spirit of gluttony, you get angry. Well, why ain't no parks up there close to the door? Why is that? You get angry. Why is that? I don't feel like walking. So you probably won't even go into the store. And you need certain things. You won't do it. Because of the fact that I can't make it. I can't walk that far. It brings on anxiety. It brings on a lot of other demons. It's not just the spirit of gluttony that you're dealing with. You're dealing with anger. You're dealing with low self-esteem. You're dealing with self-hatred. You're dealing with anxiety. You're dealing with all these things. And you got to get delivered from all these things. A person who purges, and then induce it by vomiting. What are you doing to your insides? What happens to a person when you vomit? How do you feel afterwards? Yes, go ahead.
You lose a lot of nutrients and you damage the inside of your esophagus.
Which can lead to
It can lead to cancer of the esophagus.
Cancer of the esophagus. What else?
Rot your teeth.
Yeah.
Heart problems. Loss of hair.
And I didn't know until Ahmad told me that your mouth, right? We always talk about the gut being the power source. But if you have things going on in your mouth, that's a telltale sign that there's very bad things that are going on in your body. Your mouth dictates what goes on with your body. Just like your gut If your gut is messed up,
Not
then
healthy.
with IBS or something like that, you can't move your mouth. It tells what's going on with your body. The World Health Organization, 300,000 Americans die prematurely because of obesity. Yes.
On the other slide, you had about laxatives. So
Right.
not only do people like do the throwing up, but they also do laxatives, and that damages your colon because you have ripples in your colon. And when you take laxative constantly and from constantly pooping, it makes it smooth. So it messes up with your excretion of bowels.
So if you have a smooth colon, what does that do?
Messes with your excretion of
Not only that, you'll dehydrate. If you have a
So you shouldn't
lot
take them?
No,
Not excessively.
you shouldn't take them excessively.
People take laxatives after they eat because it'll help their food pass quicker, so they're not getting the right nutrition from the food staying in the body.
Okay. Now, one thing we want to get clear, eating is not a sin. But helping of chicken, even though chicken is clean, the fourth helping is unclean. That's a sin. The demons trick you to believe that you're hungry. You're hungry. You're hungry. The demons are playing tricks on you.
emotional eating.
Yes, I was about to say that, emotional eating. When you're feeling up, you eat all the time. When you're feeling down, you're eating all the time. It's bad. And there's gonna be some recompense coming. Poor eating habits, binge eating, constantly eating, junk food, annihilation. It destroys the body. It destroys the body. Overindulgence in whatever it is that you're overindulging in. The demons may trick you to believe that you can eat all the vegetables you want. That's also a lie from the devil, because you can't eat all the vegetables that you want, because eventually you're going to be satisfied. You're not supposed to eat to get full. You're not supposed to eat to get full. That is a sin. You're supposed to eat to be satisfied. It's a sin to eat to get stuffed. That's a sin. It's called gluttony. Yes.
So with that being said, if a person is dealing with gluttony, so there's two different ways people go about it. They go on a diet or they do like meal replacement. Is there anything wrong with dieting?
There's something very wrong with dieting. Want to know what's wrong with dieting and what's wrong with meal replacements? Because that shows you have no discipline.
I'm sorry, not meal replacement, I meant meal portioning.
Meal portioning is fine, and that's what we should be doing. We should be portioning meals so that we can eat the food, let it do what it does to our body. Right? Dieting, that's not good. You can eat, a doctor told me you can eat what you want to eat as long as the portions are equivalent. Right? You can eat what you want to eat, but the portions have to be enough. If you have a plate of food, then you are not to fill your plate up to the rim with food. You're not supposed to do that. Lust. Let's go to James 4. So how do lust and greed relate to gluttony? How does lust and greed relate to gluttony? Basically, lust is an intense longing or craving for something, or greed is excessive, insatiable desire to accumulate things. That's the difference between lust and greed. Lust, you long for things, you want things, it's excessive craving for things. Covetousness, yes, right? Move over a little bit, I don't bite. Greed is an excessive, insatiable desire. You just got to have it because it's there. You got to have it because it's there. You got to eat it because it's there. You got to taste it because it's there. Lust and greed are never satisfied. Those spirits will never be satisfied if you do not get them delivered. So we're going to read James 4, and we're going to read verses 1 and 2. Go ahead.
James chapter 4, verse 1. From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence, even of your lust that war in your members?
From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence, even your lust that war in your members? Verse 2.
Ye lust and have not, ye kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not.
Right? So you don't get delivered because you're not asking to get delivered. The lust had consumed you. You desire to want it. You desire to have it. Even though deep down inside you know that you should rule your logic. It's not logical to sit and have 9 meals a day. That's not logical.
There was an while studying lust, that a person, they said lust is like drinking something and then still saying you're thirsty.
Right. Exactly. It's an insatiable desire. You have to have it and continually have it. And you're always, it's emotional. You're always in some sort of negative emotion. A person who's disciplined is not going to be in a negative emotion. Too much of even a good thing can be bad. Earlier I said, you sit and you have 4 helpings of chicken. We know that chicken is a clean meat. 4 helpings of chicken is a sin. You might as well get you a pork of lamb. I mean, a pork lamb chop. But yeah, a rack of lamb is a sin. You sit there and you eat a whole rack of lamb, that's a sin too. Obesity can cause gout, excessive drinking, cirrhosis. So see, when I say that other things can contribute to obesity, I never had gout, and I pray nobody ever gets it. It's debilitating. Cirrhosis of the liver, that's death. That's a disease unto death. Yes.
You were saying that there's nothing that so we know it's always said that too much of anything is bad. Right. Even to water, because I know people always say, well, water can't kill you, but there's even been cases where people have lusted over water and they just drank water and drank water and they died from it. They had water poisoning. If
you drink too much water, you start to feel sick.
You drown yourself from the inside.
Right. You start to feel sick. Even indulging in something that is 0 calories can hurt you. Overweight Americans are overweight. This is a chart, 1986 to 1995. 1986, 60% of the Americans were overweight. 70%. I mean, yeah, that's right. And Lord knows what it is today. Right? Let's look at something in the Bible about gluttony. Let's go to Numbers 11. Numbers 11, they were in the wilderness. And they let their lust and their greed rule over them. Gluttony exposes a bunch of other sins: ingratitude, wastefulness, lust, greed, covetousness, lasciviousness. All of these sins were prevalent in Numbers 11. So we're going to get Numbers 11, and we're going to read verse 4, and we're going to be in Numbers 11 for a minute. So we're going to start at verse 4, Numbers 11 and 4.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 4. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. And Haban Shal-Yasharallah also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat?
Who shall give us flesh to eat? Yeshua was doing a thing with the manna, angel food, right? The manna. He said, get enough for what you can eat today. Don't store it, because you don't have to store it. I'm taking care of you. But that wasn't good enough for Israel. They wanted meat, right? But let's see what Yeshua is going to do. Moses was tired of all the complaining. They always complained about meat. Complaining to Yeshua, meat. You're never getting enough. You always are complaining. Let's get down to verse 10. We're going to read 10 through 15.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 10. Then Moshe heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent, and the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly. Moshe also was
constantly complaining, constantly weeping. That angers Yeshua.
Wow.
Oh, we need meat. Whatever it is that you're greedy over, and you constantly, he sees you having 5 and 6 dinners, that kindles his anger towards you. And he's going to fix that for you. Verse 11.
And Moshe said unto the Lord, wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all this people upon me?
So he's saying, you know what? This is too much. I can't take all this stuff. These people just constantly murmuring, complain. A person who deals with gluttony is always complaining about something. That is that insatiable appetite that they just can't be satisfied. Verse 12.
Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them? That thou shouldest say unto me, carry them in thy bosom, as a nursing Abba bearing that sucking child, unto the land which thou swearest unto their fathers.
See, so then when someone who is righteous comes along and they're operating and they're seeing this gluttonous person, right? And you tell them, hey, you got to stop eating like that. You got to stop with that. You got to slow it down. And the person, I want meat, becomes grievous. 13.
When should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, give us flesh, that we may eat.
Give us flesh that we may eat, right? Give me this. Give me that. Can you give me that? Can you give me that? Can you give me this? Give me that. Give me this. Give me that. Give me this. Give me that.
Not just only meat. They're not.
That's right. They're not satisfied with anything. They take, they use, and they don't even know that they're being used by the devil.
Complaining.
Yes.
So there was a story that, and I can't remember if it was a teaching that we brought forth or that I heard it somewhere, but there was this story where it was like at the beginning of mankind, and I can't remember where from, but it goes like there was a man, right, and he was speaking with an owl, and he asked the owl for the owl's wisdom, and then there was a lion, and he asked the lion for the lion's strength. So he went through all these different animals, and he was never satisfied with what he got. He kept wanting more and more and more, until he was finally cut off, and he wasn't able to get it. Now, that signifies the lust of man. Is the lust of man one of the part of the old Adam that we constantly have to come against?
Mm-hmm. I've never heard that story. But
I know I just butchered it 100%.
yeah, I haven't heard that story, but yes, that would be man. Where we at?
Verse 14.
Okay, 14.
I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it's too heavy for me.
I can't do this. You get people who are constantly coming to you. I need this. I need that. Need. What? I can't bear it.
And whatever you do for them is
still not good enough. This is what Israel was going through. This is gluttony. 15.
And if thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand, if I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness.
Kill me, right? How many times, if everybody knows this, it's not a secret. How many times have I said, you know what? I'm done with this ministry. I'm done with this place. Moses was feeling the same thing, except he went a little extreme. I didn't, well, yeah, I think I did. Kill me. Yasha, not pleased with the Israelites, but see, one thing with Yeshaya, be careful on what you agreed over.
Oh, yeah.
Because that spirit, remember, well, let's read. Skip down to verse 16. Let's read 16 and 20.
Verse 16. And the Lord said unto Moshe, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Yasharallah, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee.
All right, so Yeshaya now is about to deal with Moses first about his not complaint, it is a complaint, about his complaint about him not being able to bear all these people, right? Verse 17.
And I will come down and talk with thee there, and I will take of the spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bear it not thyself alone.
All right, so now he's going to fix it. He hears the prayers. If a righteous man is praying, he's going to hear those prayers, and he's going to answer those prayers. Verse 18.
And say thou unto the people, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh.
He said, ye shall eat flesh. Come on.
For ye have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying, who shall give us flesh to eat?
Yes.
For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat.
He will give you flesh, and ye shall eat. You think that's a good thing, right? Not when it comes to Yeshaya. Verse 19.
Ye shall not eat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, neither 10 days, nor 20 days.
Come on.
But even a whole month, until it come out of your nostrils.
There you go. Come on.
And it be loathsome unto you.
It be what?
Be loathsome unto you.
Keep going.
Because that ye have despised the Lord which is among you.
You have done what?
Despise the Lord which is among you.
You have despised the Lord. When you're operating in the spirit of greed, you are despising Yeshaya. So he may give you what you are being greedy over, but it's going to be a detriment. Keep going.
And have wept before him, saying, why came we forth out of Egypt?
Why came we forth out of Egypt? See that? He gave them what they wanted. They wanted meat. So he said, you know what? I'm going to give you meat, but you're going to constantly eat it for 30 days. Imagine eating one type of meat for 30 straight days. Imagine that. Quail, 30 days. He said until it comes. Sometimes after 4 days, you get tired of eating. You're like, okay, I didn't had enough. You start to feel sick. 30 straight days. Don't tell me Yeshua doesn't listen to the prayers of the righteous. They came against Moses. Moses started praying. Yeshua said, you know what? I'll take care of these people. I'll take care of them. They're gonna loathe the day that they ask for quail. Moses immediately assumes it will come from the flocks and herds. So skip down to verse 21. And let's read 21 and 22.
Verse 21. And Moshe said, the people among whom I am are 600,000 footmen. And thou hast said, I will give them flesh, that they may eat a whole month. Shall the flocks and the herds be slain for them to suffice them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them to suffice them?
Right? So, legitimate question, right? But Yeshua fed 5,000. He fed 4,000, right? But he's going to do the same thing now. But this one is not going to be good. Yeshua performs miracle to further show him. Quail just above the ground, and the camp was full of quail at that time. All the people stayed up all day, all night. Next day, gathered quail, spread them out, eat. Skip down to verse 32, and we're going to read 32 to 34.
Verse 32.
Mm-hmm.
And the people stood up all that day, and all that night, and all the next day, and they gathered the quail.
Mm-hmm.
He that gathered least gathered 10 homers.
Mm-hmm.
And they spread them all abroad for themselves round about the camp.
Round about the camp, right? But look, let's see what happened. Let's see how they felt. Verse 33.
And while the flesh was yet between their teeth, ere it was chewed,
Mm-hmm.
the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord smote the people with a very great plague.
Sickness. Verse 34.
And he called the name of that place Kibroth Hattava, because there they buried the people that lusted.
There you go.
Bird flu. It didn't come from China.
There you go. Right there. While the flesh was yet between their teeth, they just started eating, and it made them sick. It made them sick. The moment that they started eating, they got sicker and sicker and sicker until a plague came. Don't mess with Yeshua.
Y'all think that don't happen to this current day?
Yeah, it does happen. All your diseases and everything that are going around. Oh, it comes from a bird. It comes from a cow. It comes from this. No, it comes from Yeshua being displeased with you. That's where it comes from. He makes it sick. And it says, and the Lord smote the people with a very great plague. Who do you think is smiting with, what is it, coronavirus or whatever it is, coronavirus?
But let's just go a different route.
Yes.
What about people who greed or who lust over money?
Right.
They're always broke and they keep playing a lottery.
Mm-hmm.
And they win all these millions of dollars. A lot. What end up happening to like 98% of them?
Dead.
They broke, drugged out, or somebody killed them for the money. Like, it's nothing really of anything good comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they probably done prayed for money, they done did a little witchcraft for money, they done prayed over their lottery tickets.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. But what about other people that see what other people have?
Right.
I want that, they don't deserve that. If I had that, I'd do this, I'd do this, I'd do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get it, and then guess what? It becomes a burden to them. They really don't
It becomes
want
a
to
burden.
deal with it.
Right. We talked about that when we talked about the spirit of jealousy.
And that's when the nasty attitude and the stinkiness start coming about.
Right.
And can't nobody get along with you because you biting everybody's head off because you done prayed for something, you ain't got it, now you don't want it, now you mad.
And this is what happened to Israel. They wanted quail. They wanted meat. They were tired of the manna. They didn't want the manna no more. And they asked, and ye shall receive. Remember in James the 4th chapter, you ask not. You get not because you don't ask. But you're asking for the wrong things. And they asked for the wrong thing. And Yeshua gave it to them.
Could this be said about, like the same thing be said about when Israel asked for a king and Yeshua gave him a king?
Yeshua gave him a king.
They saw other nations had a king.
Right. And he said that, well, this king is going to take your children, take your wives, take your land, take everything you got. That's what the kings are going to do. And pretty much that's what they did. The majority of them. Yeshua is furious when you yield your intense craving of lust because it controls your will. Self-control is the fruit of the spirit, but you cannot operate. You're a liar if you say you have self-control when you're eating all over the place, when you're drinking all over the place, when you're lusting all over the place, when you just want things.
Well, what about when somebody go in the kitchen to get something and you listening to see, you get up and you run?
That's still the spirit of greed. That's still the spirit of gluttony.
Yeah.
Right? The Israelites lost control over themselves and they yielded to their cravings. And this is despite Yeshua takes care of us. Yeshua takes care of us. And what you're basically saying is that, Yeshua, you're not doing your job.
You're not doing enough.
You're not doing enough for me. So I have to do this. I have to go and eat. I have to go and drink. I have to want 18 pairs of shoes. I have to want 55 of the same shirt. I have to want this. This is what you're telling Yeshua.
This is what I was saying last week or a couple of weeks ago, when we saw that God had his room in his house renovated just for his gym shoes. And he had hundreds and hundreds of pairs of gym shoes in that room. And some of them was the same ones, just different colors.
That's greed. Let's get Matthew 11, yes.
What's the difference between a person wanting something and someone lusting over it?
Want and lust?
Yeah.
Same thing.
So say a person wants a new shirt, and there's a specific shirt that they want that shirt. What would be the difference between that and lusting after it?
Lusting after it means you're going to do anything you can to get it. You're going to lie. You're going to cheat. You're going to steal. I can sit here and say, well, I want what? A new shirt, right? Okay, that's fine to say I want a new shirt. Okay, maybe the shirt that I have has a hole in it. I want a new shirt. You always want something, whatever it is that you want, it should be necessity, shouldn't be something extra. It should be something that you actually need. But then I want a shirt, and you know what? I'm going to manipulate, and I'm going to lie, and I'm going to steal. I'm going to go in the store and put it under my coat, and I'm going to pass out and pretend like I'm having convulsions. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this shirt. That's the difference.
And lust will have you where you would go, like say you spent all your money, you put money up in savings, right? And you said, I'm not going to touch that savings. And you go in the store and you see something, and you like, oh, I don't have the money. and then all of a sudden you go in your savings after you swore that you're not going to go in your savings to do it, and you go and purchase that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Usually when we lust after things, well, not usually, it is. When you lust after something, it's something you don't even need.
Most of the time, yeah, it
You
is.
don't need it, yeah?
Most of the time, it is.
Because once you get it, you lose interest in it.
You lose interest. And that goes with a lot of things. That goes with a lot of things. Even your precious little children.
Yeah.
You want children, you want children.
Oh, they're so cute, baby, so cute.
You see somebody with children, oh, I got to have one. And then once you get your precious bundle, after about a year or so, or after about 6 months, this old baby.
It's usually after almost a year because guess what? That's when you have to start teaching them things and doing things. They require more of your time.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't want to deal with them no more. Try to put them off on other people. Usually the grandmothers, but that ain't happening.
All right, let's go. Matthew 11 and 18. Let's read.
Matthew chapter 11, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he hath the devil.
John the Baptist came. He wasn't eating or drinking. He was eating wild locusts and honey. Let's understand this too. The honey is not unclean. I know there's some people who are saying honey is unclean. Honey is not unclean. Anyway, with that being said, John the Baptist eating and drinking, and the Pharisee said he had a devil. He was not eating, he was eating wild locusts and honey. Anyone who has a constant diet of wild locusts and honey? Verse 19.
Haban Shal Ayash came eating and drinking, and they say, Hana, a man gluttonous and a wine bibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. But Rawak is justified of her bond.
Right. So they said Yeshua comes. He's a gluttonous. He's a wine bibbler. He's eating with sinners. What are the children of wisdom? Good works and good fruit. That's the children of wisdom.
Now we know y'all should not drink wine.
Yes, we know that.
Fermented.
We know that. We have a teaching about that also. Whether what we do is wise or foolish is seen in the fruit that we bear. An alcoholic produces sorrow and misery for his family, beat up wife, children are neglected. That's the fruit of an alcoholic. An alcoholic is a gluttonous person. So your fruits bear who you are. If you are a gluttonous person, whether it be food, money, whatever, the sins that you have, most likely you're going to be an angry person. More than likely, you're going to be angry.
That's why it says it's impossible to please the Most High in man.
Yes, it is.
Because man, especially someone that's dealing with a gluttonous spirit, you would never be pleasing to them. You would never be able to satisfy them, no matter what you do.
So look at this chart. The average weight in pounds for men or women, 5'4". In Asia, it's about a little over 120. Africa, 130. Central America, about 140. These are people who are 5'4". North Europe, about 145. Western Europe, about 145. Eastern Europe, about 150. Southern Europe, about 155. And of course, North America, 160 pounds. 160. Deadly sins: ingratitude, greed, gluttony, lust. So when enjoyed within Yeshua's loving boundaries, wealth, possession, food, sex are all good things, right? That's all good things when you are under the covering of Yeshua. Greed, gluttony, lust, idols, these things you're telling Yeshua what you have provided is not enough. It's not good enough. Or it's not what I want. A lot of us say, that's not what I want. I don't want to eat that. That's not what I want. But Yeshua has provided for you. So therefore, how can it not be? You're saying to Yeshua, you failed me. There's nothing wrong with possessions, food, wealth, sex, boundaries. There's nothing wrong with that as long as it's in Yeshua's boundary. When it's outside of Yeshua's boundary, then it's of the devil. It's of Satan. Greed tells Yeshua, you don't provide enough for me. I want more and I deserve more. I need more. I got to have more. You're telling Yeshua that he's not doing his job. But in the scriptures, it pleased Yeshua to give Job wealth. He restored Job twice-fold on what he was. Abraham, wealthy. It pleased Yeshua to do that. But then you got others like Elijah, who had to live in a cave. Let's go 1 Kings 19. Elijah wasn't rich by any means of the necessary. But Elijah and Abraham were the same. Let's read 1 Kings chapter 19. We're going to read verses 6 through 8. Go ahead.
1 Kings chapter 19, verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked, and Hannah, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink and laid him down again.
All right, so it was a cake baking on the coals. That's bread, a little piece of bread with water. Give somebody bread and water today and see how they're going to look at you. Unless it's a certain individual who loves bread, right? Then that may be something different. But give the normal person some bread and water and say, here you go. They will do you like the Israelites did Yeshua in Numbers 11. Verse 7.
And Hamalak of the Lord came again the second time and touched him and said, Quam and eat, because the journey is too great for thee.
Get up and eat, right? The angel of the Lord is giving him this meal because of the fact it's not 30 pieces of bacon, 4 baked potatoes loaded, 2 steaks, an 8-piece chicken dinner, a 10, 12-piece chicken dinner.
Watch out, man.
I used to eat those things. I'm not talking about anybody. I'm talking about myself. I used to eat those things. 2 gyro platters, a mini pizza.
That sounds like the last meal they give people on death row.
Right. True story. When I was worldly, I would go on CNN, and they had a crime. So they had a section. One of their tabs was crime, and you could go on there when they're about to do executions. They would always have the last meal of the person before they would get executed, and somehow I found that interesting. I found it interesting to see what people condemned what their last meal was. I mean, yeah, I know, sicko. You had a person who their last meal was Mentos. You had a person, their last meal was peanut brittle. It was weird stuff. But then you had some people who had lobster and filet mignon and 4 different types of steaks and ridiculous. Verse 8.
And he quam, and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of Ayawan.
So he got that cruise of water and that bread baked on coals, and that strengthened him for 40 days and 40 nights. Yes, Elijah was one who fasted, who went 40 days and 40 nights. I'm not going to ask who are the other ones. So this is what happened. He did not become gluttonous. Matthew 6. In this situation, Elijah trusted Yeshua. And because Elijah trusted Yeshua, Elijah went on to do great things. We're going to get Matthew 6, and we're going to read verses 28 to 34. Matthew 6, 28 to 34. Let's read.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 28. And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, they toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these.
Verse 30.
Wherefore, if Ayawan so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith?
O ye of little faith. When you deal with the spirit of greed, gluttony, and lust, you have no faith. 31.
Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed?
You're supposed to not take thought in any of that. Verse 32.
For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Abba knoweth that ye have need of all these things.
But what you're supposed to do?
But seek ye first the malakwat of Ayawan and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
You're supposed to seek the kingdom first. You're supposed to seek the kingdom first. When you're operating in greed and gluttony and lust, you're not seeking the kingdom first. You're seeking your own fleshly desires first. Verse 34.
Take therefore no thought for the morrow, for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof.
Sufficient today. It's today. Whatever you're going through today, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about next week. Don't worry about next month. Because when you do that, you allow the spirit of greed, gluttony to come inside of you, to operate inside of you. Skip down to verse 24 and read that.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. No Ayash can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Ayawan and Mammon.
You cannot serve the Most High and Mammon or money. You cannot serve them. Gluttony. Let's get Ecclesiasticus 23. Greed is the underground of gluttony. Habitual eating, habitual drinking, overindulgence, ingratitude. Those bring on the fruits of gluttony. Ecclesiasticus 23, and we're going to read verses 3 through 9. Let's pay attention to this one. Go ahead.
Sirach, chapter 23, verse 3. Lest mine ignorances increase, and my sins abound to my destruction, and I fall before mine adversaries, and mine enemy rejoice over me, whose hope is far from thy mercy.
All right, so what is he saying? What is the Bible saying? Ignorances. Sin is sin is destruction. You fall before your adversaries. Your adversaries is the devil, the demons. The devil rejoices over you because now the demons know that the hope, you're far away from it. You're far away from hope. There is no mercy. Yeshua is not going to have mercy. Verse 4.
O Lord, Abba and power of my life, give me not a proud look, but turn away from thy servants always a haughty mind.
Turn away always a haughty mind. Right? You're dealing with greed, gluttony, and lust. You're dealing with haughtiness. Verse 5.
Turn away from me vain hopes and concupiscence, and thou shalt hold him up that is desirous always to serve thee.
Mm-hmm.
Let not the greediness of the belly, nor lust of the flesh take hold of me. And give not over me thy servant into an impudent mind.
An impudent mind, right? The greed, the lust of the belly. Don't let the flesh take over me. Give me not over thy servant. It's impudent. Sorry. Give me not over to an impudent mind.
What's an impudent mind?
In the Strongs, it's H5810. It's Isaiah's to be strong, to prevail, to make firm, strengthen.
So when you're dealing with greed and you're dealing with the lust of the flesh, that takes over your mind. Stubbornness. It takes over your mind.
Oh my goodness.
So you cannot operate. Verse 7.
Shemai, O ye bond, the discipline of the mouth. He that keepeth it shall never be taken in his lips.
Mm-hmm.
The sinner shall be left in his foolishness,
Mm-hmm.
but the evil speaker and the proud shall fall thereby.
The sinner shall be left in his foolishness, both the evil speaker and the proud. Verse 9.
Accustom not thy part to swearing, neither use thyself to the naming of the Holy One.
To the Holy One. Yeshua gives us food and drink for nourishment and delight. You don't want to eat something that's nasty, but he gives us that for nourishment. The problem is when we begin to worship the food rather than Yeshua. That's the problem. We see the food and we just lose our mind. Bottomless. Just continue to eat. Just bottomless. Just eat, eat, eat. You worship the food rather than the person who gave you the food. Gluttony goes beyond the desire of plenty. Gluttony depreciates what Yeshua provides. Because when you're dealing with gluttony, you're constantly having to replenish what it is that's being taken away. Constantly. You're spending an inordinate amount of money. Just spending. Gluttony. It's a destroyer. All right, next one, lust. Sexual intimacy. Can we get Song of Songs 7? Sexual intimacy. It's a good gift. It was created for us. People learn in their early teens, late adulthood, you want physical, emotion. You want spiritual intimacy. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's go Song of Songs. We're going to read chapter 7. This is also Song of Solomon, if you didn't know. Song of Songs, Song of Solomon, the same book. Chapter 7, we're going to start at verse 1. Let's read.
Song of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 1. How beautiful are thy feet with shoes, O Princess Banah. The joints of thy thighs are like jewels, the work of the hands of a cunning workman. Thy navel is like a round goblet, which wanteth not liquor. Thy belly is like an heap of wheat set about with lilies. Thy two breasts are like two young roes that are twins. Thy neck is as a tower of ivory. Thine eyes like the fishpoles in Heshbon, by the gate of Bath Rabbim.
Mm-hmm.
Thy nose is as the tower of Lebanon, which looketh toward Damascus.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 5. Thine head upon thee is like Carmel, and the hair of thine head like purple. Hamalak is held in the galleries. How fair and how pleasant art thou, O love, for delights. This thy stature is like a palm tree, and thy breast to clusters of grapes. I said, I will go up to the palm tree, I will take hold of the boughs thereof. Now also thy breast shall be as clusters of the vine,
Mm-hmm.
and the smell of thy nose like apples.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 9, and the roof of thy mouth like the best wine for my beloved, that goeth down sweetly, causing the lips of those that are asleep to speak.
All right. That is spiritual love. Spiritual love. And that's what Yeshua wants for us. Now, let's go to Ecclesiasticus 31. And we're going to read 11 to 14. Let's read that.
Sirach, chapter 31, verse 11. His goods shall be established, and the congregation shall declare his alms.
Mm-hmm.
If thou sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it, and say not, there is much meat on it.
See that?
Mm-hmm.
When you sit at a table, it's bountiful. Be not greedy upon it. You're not even supposed to say, look at all this food, because that's a trigger for that demon to come inside, if it's not already there. But read 13.
Remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing,
Mm-hmm.
and what is created more wicked than an eye? Therefore it weepeth upon every occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Stretch not thine hand whithersoever it looketh, and thrust it not with him into the dish.
Thrust it not in with him into the dish. So just because it's sitting in front of you doesn't mean it's a personal challenge to take everything that you see and just eat. One of the 7 deadly sins is gluttony, greed, and lust that have expanded in this scope, where originally they were limited to just food, drink, riches, carnal pleasure, respectively, but it's grown. Lust, on the other hand, willfully misplaces and misuses and fixate on sexual interest. Yeshua has forbidden this. Exodus 20 and 14. Let's read.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Thou shalt not commit adultery, right? But Yeshua expounded on that in Matthew, the 5th chapter. Lust is another one. Lust is just another byproduct of greed. Read.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 28.
Mm-hmm.
But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her, hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Committed adultery already with her in his heart. So lust is another one. Gluttony is the sin of the overindulgence, excessive greed. In the Bible, gluttony is linked to drunkenness, idolatry, lavishness, rebellion, disobedience, laziness, wastefulness. Gluttony, lust, greed, they all work together. They all are an abomination. And they all will get you thrown into the lake which burneth of fire and brimstone. Let's go Deuteronomy 21, and we're going to read verse 20. Deuteronomy chapter 21, and we're going to read verse 20. Let's read it.
Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 20. And they shall say unto Zaquan of his city, This our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard.
He is a glutton and a drunkard. When you're dealing with gluttony and when you're dealing with over lust, you are rebellious. You are rebellious. The Bible condemns gluttony as a sin, and it's called the lust of the flesh. We're going to read 1 John 2, 15 and 16. Gluttony is the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the world, and the love of the world. Let's read.
1 John chapter 2, verse 15. Ahaba not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man ahaba the world, the ahaba of the Abba is not in him.
If you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. If you are a glutton, if you are greedy, the love of the Father is not in you. 16.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of Ha'abba, but is of the world.
It's not of the Father. So if you're lusting of the flesh, sex, lusting of the eyes, food, pride of life, money, all of this is not of the Father, it's of the world. And if you are driven by food, by lust, and by money, or by any one of those three, or by all three of them, or two of the three, you are of the devil. You are of Satan. Read 17.
And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of Ha'ayawan abideth forever.
Abideth forever. Put the fork away. Put the third helping away. The second helping away. Put it away. Put away the sixth dinner. Put away the third lunch. The third breakfast. Put that away. 1 Corinthians 6. You don't know that your body's a temple when you're dealing with the spirit of gluttony. You don't know that your body's a temple when you're dealing with the spirit of greed. You don't know that your body is a temple when you're dealing with the spirit of lust. You don't know these things. 1 Corinthians 16, 19, and 20. Let's read.
1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which ye have of Hayawan, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify Hayawan in your body and in your spirit, which are Hayawan.
If you're eating like Pac-Man, you're not glorifying the body. You're not glorifying the Most High. Just chomp, 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 chomp. Biblical definition of gluttony. The biblical definition of gluttony is habitual giving in to a greedy appetite, overindulging in eating and drinking. Gluttony includes excessive desire for the pleasure that food and drink gives to a person. Yeshaya gives us this to enjoy, not to become gluttonous. You're just eating. You're eating everything. You can't take 5 steps without being tired because you just eat everything. And then we try to do that. A lot of times you don't see people overindulging in light. They do it in the dark. They do it in a quiet little corner where nobody, by the microwave, where nobody's looking, or you think nobody's looking, or they have their back turned and they're just eating. When you watch people who have bulimia or anorexia or bulimia, they're not doing that in broad daylight. It's always night. It's always dark. They do it away from people. They drive to secluded areas. They make sure nobody's home and they go to the bathroom. They live alone. They live in solitude. They deal with depression. They deal with anger. They deal with anxiety. They deal with frustration. They don't deal with the fruits of the Spirit because they can't deal with the fruits of the Spirit. Let's go, Genesis 1 and 29.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. And the Most High said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
All right, so during our Hebrew language lessons, we are understanding the different foods and what the fruits, the vegetables, the nuts, what it does to our body and how it can help our bodies. This is what Yeshaya gave us, and this is what we're going to have again in the wilderness. But if you're hollering about meat all the time, you got to have the burger, you got to have the chicken, you got to have the steak. But when it comes to the vegetables, you frown up. When it comes to the vegetables, you feed them to the dog. When it comes to the vegetables, you hide them under a piece of bread so people think that you ate them. All the things that you're doing, you're not going to make it through the wilderness, because in the wilderness, that's all we're going to have. And if you die in the wilderness, you're going to the lake of fire. Let's get Ecclesiastes 9 and 7. Let's read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 7. Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy yayan with a merry heart. For Hayawan now accepteth thy works.
Accept thy works. So I'm not saying it's bad to eat. You should enjoy eating. It's bad when you overindulge. The Bible calls moderation for everything. Unrestrained self-indulgence in any area will lead to deeper entanglement of sin. No self-control and disobedience, because you're dealing with this and your appetite is insatiable now. Because once you start eating, unless you get delivered, it's hard to stop. Once you start operating in sin with money, it's hard to stop. You got to continue on. And we're focusing on food and money and sex. That's the third thing. It becomes an insatiable desire. Let's go Proverbs 25 and 28. Let's read that.
Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
What does that mean? I've been doing a lot of talking tonight. He that have no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down without walls. What does that mean?
I mean, that's the person that falls to anything, that there's no security. And so pretty much anything that happens, it just goes. Whatever spirit operates, it just goes through. There's no boundaries for it.
No self-control.
Yeah, no self-control.
No resistance, no self-control.
So whatever spirit comes up, that's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. And that leads you into further destruction and further and deeper sin. Ephesians 5. You can be sure that no immoral, impure, or greedy person will inherit the kingdom. No one.
And it's messed up because that spirit, like, I thought, previously to being put out, I thought that it just dealt with sex. I'm looking at, that's the only thing I was fighting against sex, but the whole time it touched literally every part of my life, and not just going and lusting after people or sex.
Mm-hmm. It touches everything. And if you're dealing with the spirit of greed, it doesn't matter whether it's sex or it doesn't matter what it is, it's going to try to feed itself. So if you get delivered from the sex, it's going to try with food. You get delivered from the food, it's going to try with drink. You get delivered from the drink, it's going to try with money. That thing is going to continue to try you. It's going to try to find to get its way in. It's going to continue to pick and try to get something inside of you, so then you can get that spirit of greed back. Let's read Ephesians 5 and 5.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 5. For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, have any inheritance in her malakwath of Hamashiach and of Hayawan.
No whoremonger, unclean person, covetous man, idolater, greedy. And we're not the only ones. Roman Catholics understand this. Gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins which leads to damnation according to Roman Catholic theology. They understand this. The Bible, let's get Proverbs 23. The Bible speaks of many destructive consequences when it comes to gluttony. Let's get Proverbs 23, and we're going to read 20 and 21. And then Proverbs 28 and 7. Proverbs 23, 20 and 21. And then Proverbs 28 and 7. Okay, let's read that.
Proverbs chapter 23, verse 20. Be not among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags.
See that? When you commit gluttony, what's the first thing that happens? You want to go to sleep. And let's say this, the demons will have a field day. Because when you're so full from eating that when you go to sleep, you can't fight when the devil comes. And he is going to come. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to feed you even more food. And we all know when you eat in your dreams, the next day or that morning or when you get up, you better go through deliverance immediately. Immediately. Because those are toxins and poisons in your body right now. It's infirmary. It's not okay to have dreams where you are eating. That is a detriment.
Not only that, sex dream, these seeds are planted. It's just like that parable when who was he? The farmer, the gardener, somebody, the wheat and the tares.
Yeah, the wheat and the tares.
And while he was sleeping.
Planted tares.
And that's what the devil do.
Yes.
Isn't that kind of like how when people celebrate Thanksgiving and they eat all that food and then they go to sleep and they say they have crazy crazy dreams because of the turkey, but it's really because they just committed gluttony.
They committed gluttony. Right.
I think you got that mixed up when people eat pork.
Oh, it's pork.
Yeah, it's pork when they have bad dreams.
But no, when Thanksgiving, people eat all the food and they just lay around. Some people know that they're going to do it because women won't wear their girdles that day and
men won't wear belts.
Yeah. So
or they'll wear jogging pants.
They know what they're coming to do.
Right. Let's go Proverbs 28:7.
Proverbs chapter 28, verse 7. Whoso keepeth the law is a wise bond, but he that is a companion of riotous men shameth his honor.
Riotous men, right? Riotous men, same as rioters, eaters of the flesh. Same thing. It's that spirit that's in the person that makes them overindulge in whatever it is. I've already talked about how overindulging harms your health. It messes with your health. The Bible says that you are to take care of the body, and you are supposed to honor Yeshua with your body. You're supposed to do that. Yeshua's critics, the spiritually blind, hypocritical Pharisees, falsely accused him of being a glutton. Falsely accused him of being a glutton. I know we had this scripture before, but let's read it again.
Matthew chapter 11, verse 19. Haban Shal Ayash came eating and drinking, and they say, Hana, a man gluttonous and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners, but Rawat is justified of her bond.
Right. So let's see this. Greed is one of the 7 main basic character flaws or dark trait personalities. You got greed, arrogance, impatience, stubbornness, self-destruction, self-deprecation, martyr. Potential, we all have the potential for greedy tendencies, but in people with strong fear or lack of self-control, greed is a dominant pattern. It's dominant. Components, the components of greed, like all chief features. Greed involves early negative experiences, childhood, misconceptions about the nature of self, life, or others. Misconception. You think that people hate you. You think that people don't like you. Constant fear or a sense of insecurity. A person who deals with greed is insecure about themselves. A maladaptive strategy to protect the self, right? You build these walls up to protect yourself. You don't want to let nobody in. You don't want to let nobody come close. A persona that hide all of the above in adulthood. All of the above.
So with the 7 dark personality traits, martyrdom. So is that bad for where I guess whatever you believe in?
Martyrdom is when you believe in something and you die for it.
Right.
If you're dealing with the spirit of gluttony, if it kills you, you're a martyr to gluttony. If you deal with the spirit, a lot of people die from cirrhosis of the liver when they're alcoholics. You are a martyr for the spirit of alcohol or gluttony. Cirrhosis of the liver, you're not a martyr for Yeshua. You're a martyr for the devil. Understand that.
So those people who decided not to fight and decided to let the devil take over them and to stay in their sins, and they choose to die, rather than to live, to die for whatever it is that drove them out. They're martyrs for the devil.
Martyrs for whatever demon was over them. Early negative experiences. In case of greed, early negative experiences in childhood, not thinking that you had enough, or your survival was threatened in some way. Misconceptions such as deprivation, lack. A child becomes perceiving of life as being unreliable, limited, but they are missing happiness. Fear. Based on misconceptions and early childhood negative experiences, a fear makes a lack of fear. A fear or a lack of fear is an essential ground for greed. Because you got to get it all right now, because you may not get it later. Strategy. Needing things, having to strategize to get food, make sure that I can go to my kitchen at 2:38 in the morning because everybody will be asleep. Strategize. Strategy always obsessively seeking the chosen substitute for the original lack. Always looking for that. Compulsively getting it by any means necessary. Then you start hoarding it. Then you prevent others from getting it. You do weird things. You stop people from getting it. You criticize when it's available, hoping that nobody will take it, hoping nobody will get it. And then you blame others when you fail. You blame others when you fail. We're going to get Ecclesiasticus 31. And we're going to read, we read this already. Yes, we did. We're not reading that again. Let's go Ecclesiasticus 18. And we're going to read 27 to 30. Ecclesiasticus 18, We're going to read 27 to 30. This is our last scripture. Tomorrow our lesson is going to be on Babylon in the wilderness. Let's read.
Sirach, chapter 18, verse 27. A wise man will fear in everything, and in the day of sinning he will beware of offense. But a fool will not observe time.
A wise man is going to say, you know what? I have a problem, and I'm going to get delivered from this problem. But a fool, I'm going to eat. I'm going to drink. I'm going to lust. I'm going to have money. 28.
Every man of understanding knoweth wisdom, and will give Yada unto him that found her. They that were of understanding in sayings became also wise themselves, and poured forth exquisite parables. Verse 30. Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetites.
Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetites. The Bible is very clear. Very clear. And I pray we are very clear also. All three essentially boil down to a strong desire to experience a momentary high. That's what it's really about. The rush. And all three, greed, gluttony, and lust, will lead you to hell. All three of them. Discerning of spirits. Our next spirit is haughtiness. The spirit of haughtiness next week. Upcoming spirits, divination, familiar, perverse. The spirit of heaviness, spirit of whoredom, spirit of procrastination, spirit of infirmity, spirit of an invalid, deaf and dumb spirit, bondage, foolishness, fear, seducing spirits, the spirit of error, anti-Yeshaya, and poverty. But next week, haughtiness. Interesting stuff about haughtiness and what the Bible says about it. So we give all the glory and praise to the Most High. That's going to conclude our lesson for tonight. We give all the honor and praise to the Most High, Ahaya Shah Ahaya, and Yeshaya HaMashiach. Join us tomorrow, 1 p.m. for our lesson, continued lesson on the wilderness. All right.
If you have enjoyed this lesson and have found it educational, please like, share, and subscribe to get future teachings. Also hit the bell to be alerted when we go live.
All right, we will see you all 1 p.m. in Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.